Man, The Simpsons used to be the best damn show on TV. Back when it was a show about a caricature of the nuclear family in the late 80s and not just a caricature of itself. Back then, you really were able to emphasize with these characters, not because they themselves necessarily felt real, because trust me, they didn't. But despite that, the relationships did. There were these really relatable dynamics laid out, where regardless of how your own family is structured, there would always be this element of relatability, even well over 30 years on from its original air date. I bring this up because it's no secret that The Simpsons died long ago. The term zombie Simpsons, which is indicative of the fact that since many of the original creators are no longer there, and that since the only thing that really resembles the show now is just its visual look, which even then just looks considerably more lifeless than it ever used to, basically implies that the show is just a walking corpse of its former self. And people have been saying this for over a decade now. We all thought that the show had hit rock bottom and that there was no way that the show could sink any lower, but my god were we wrong.
My parents really support me in my career. Is your dad supportive of you?
If you give him enough beer and a pair of earplugs and then tell him that he can be in another room, no.
Ugh, Jesus Christ. Right, there is a lot to unpack here. From the continued bastardization of the celebrity cameo format to the outright odd line delivery from Lisa, the obvious main takeaway here is that Homer's now being portrayed as an unsupportive father. Give me a fucking break, Disney. You might think this is an overreaction, but to imply that Homer is an unsupportive father is an undoing of so much of what makes Homer's identity who he is. To have him portrayed like this goes further than just assassinating his character. It's a complete alienation of anyone who's grown up as a fan of his character, and it's fundamentally a complete misunderstanding of not just his identity, but the entire IP. Homer's entire character is built around the idea of this ridiculously incompetent man who, above all else, just wants to take care of his family. That, for me, is where a lot of the original charm and comedy came from, when you're aware that a lot of these ridiculous scenarios are in the name of somehow supporting Homer's family. Now, you fast forward to Disney's treatment of the character, and besides the voice actor, visual look, and exaggerated mannerisms, there really is nothing resembling these two characters anymore. So, instead, let's just go straight back to the very first episode, where the groundworks for his character are clearly laid out. It's the lead up to Christmas, and Homer's become extremely deflated after not getting his Christmas bonus. You see, he's comparing himself to his much more successful neighbours, and he feels like he's fundamentally failing to be able to provide a good Christmas for his family. He does everything he can to get some extra cash, working as a Santa Claus and even going as far to gamble the entirety of his earnings for the slim chance of being able to provide a better Christmas. It's the perfect display of how he really is an incompetent man, yet despite that, he still has the determination to provide for his family.
Find any winners, son?
Sorry, Dad.
And despite losing everything, the episode ends in a bit of a Christmas miracle when him and Bart are actually able to return home with the dog they lost the bet on to a very happy family, proving that he never even needed the money in the first place. Even if you're not a father yourself, you're still able to feel the shame of a parent not being able to provide for their child. There was this sense of grounding to even an animated comedy show that enabled you as the viewer to be able to empathize with these characters.
So, what do you like, Lisa? Violin, tuba maba, oboe mabo?
That one.
Oh, saxophone. $200? Oh, I'll take it.
See what I'm getting at here?
Is your dad supportive of you?
No.
To write a scene that suggests Homer doesn't support Lisa is just ill-informed from a writing perspective. There are numerous examples over the last 3 decades where Homer's not only encouraging but directly supporting her, even making legitimate sacrifices to buy Lisa her first saxophone. This entire episode is dedicated to telling that story, with this very episode ending of Homer making that same sacrifice in order to buy her a new one. I know this might seem like a small deal, but you've got to understand how this is a direct contradiction to what makes Homer the character we knew and loved. I'm talking in the past tense because these are no longer characters anymore. They're just not. They used to be caricatures of the nuclear family. Then they became caricatures of themselves. Now, they're just soulless money-making machines. There's no artistic integrity in this. I could honestly accept this if this was actually a story arc they were trying to fulfill, where Homer needs to be more supportive to his daughter, but this is literally a 3-minute celebrity cameo special. It's a fucking ad. The Simpsons even being owned by Disney is a literal contradiction of what The Simpsons stood for. It's made several direct references to how nefarious Disney actually is, and yet they've still got them all on display on their very own streaming service. You could say it's commendable of them to allow criticism, but to be honest, I just see it as an admission of guilt. To me, it just reeks of corporate spinelessness on both ends. I can imagine the original creators could think of nothing worse than for their show to be under the creative control of Disney of all corporations. I don't know, maybe I'm just bitter because I've grown up with these characters. The Simpsons is the one piece of media that's been throughout my life for longer than I can remember, so I mean, when I think back to The Simpsons, I don't think about the abhorrent monstrosity it's become today. I just think back to these really wholesome and hilarious moments. I have a lot of fun just going back and rediscovering old episodes I've not seen since I was a kid. It makes me really sad seeing what they've done to the show. Those original 9 seasons really did have some charm to them, and even the next 10 seasons after that do have a lot of enjoyability to them, but seeing this blatant assassination of characters and relationships just has me feeling kinda sad. I've already mourned the loss of The Simpsons long ago, but after seeing what it's been reduced to today, on top of literally everything else that's wrong with media these days, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna ignore all this and just stick on some old classic Simpsons. Take it easy, guys.
Listen to Lisa play her sax.
Hi, Dad. Want me to cut out this infernal racket?
Oh, let me hear you play.
Why?
Does your father have to explain? Let's just share your gift, okay? Huh? Yeah, that's more like it. Ho ho, woo! Oh, I want to be in that rumba, and the Saints go over there. Oh, over there.